LI News Radio. Well, I told you once and I told you twice, but you never listen to my advice. Welcome back, my friends. This is what I call the Bell Lap of the Tuesday edition of the John Gomez Show. So glad you've taken the time to join the program and listen to the program every single day, Monday through Friday. We kick it off at noon to 2, lunch with Gomez on 1039 LI News Radio. You can follow us wherever you go, wherever you are, at linewsradio.com. Just click on the Listen Live link. Also, if you care to hop on board, the phone number to make contact, 631-451-1039 is the number, 451-1039. And you can email me, Gomez, Gomez, at linewsradio.com. Joining us on the LI News Newsmaker line is Isaac Oates. He's the CEO of Justworks. Their company specializes in payroll and benefits. Isaac, welcome aboard. How are you, sir?
Thanks, Sean. I'm well.
I guess you don't have many clients that are public employees.
We don't. So most of actually all of the companies we work with are.
Yeah, sure, are private, because, if you're a public employee, you don't have to worry about your pension and your benefits.
That's what they say, right?
Yeah. Now, what's going on? July 30th, apparently there's a deadline. I didn't even know about this. What's going on with July 30th?
So New York City has rolled out a paid sick leave law.
Hold on, Isaac. Are you on a phone or are you on a speakerphone?
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay, go ahead.
So, yes, New York City rolled out a paid sick leave law earlier this year, and implementation is going into effect. And starting July 30th, employees will be able to start taking paid sick leave. And this is something that all businesses in New York City have to comply with. And for businesses with 5 or more employees, that includes 40 hours of paid sick leave every year.
So, and how many sick leave days do they get?
So they would get 5 days. That's the 40 hours. And a lot of companies, if they're larger, of course, they already offer paid sick leave. But for smaller businesses, this can be a new thing if they didn't have a program in place before.
Right, and this new law makes it 5 or more. So if you're under 5 employees, you're not going to be impacted by this new law.
Well, it's not entirely true. So if you're less than 5 employees, you actually need to offer unpaid sick leave. That means you at least need to let your employees take off.
Yeah, well,
in the case where.
Now, Isaac, just out of curiosity, being a small business owner myself, does an employee, I've never, quite frankly, I never felt as though I needed it because I trust my employees and they're like family. But, if somebody calls in and they're sick, I take them for their word. Is there some sort of law that you have to, can an employer demand some sort of proof that an employee was actually sick?
That's a great question. I'm actually not 100% sure if this new law requires that, but in general, many employers do that. They do ask for proof of like a doctor's visit or something like that if they do take sick time.
Right. Now, but legally, though, let's say, for example, I have an employee. Let's say I'm an employee, and I call up my employer, and I say, employer, boss, I'm sick today. They say, all right, fine. And then the next day when I see my paycheck and it's docked that day, you go in and say, hey, listen, you docked my pay. And they says, yeah, well, you were sick. I don't know. You show me proof that you were actually sick and you couldn't come into work. And the employee, I would say, no, I'm going to sue you because by law, you have to give it to me. And then the boss is going to say, yeah, well, by law, you have to show me significant proof that you were actually sick and you couldn't work, such as a doctor's note. I don't know if there's actually anything in the law that specifically states what they have to show you. Is there?
So Yeah, so there is. So, I mean, it's really up to the employer, but if an employee is out for 3 or more days, they can require a doctor's note from the employee to prove that they were out.
And
if it was just one day, that's not the case.
Okay, now, in the doctor's note, Isaac, just out of curiosity, in the doctor's note, would it have to be something to the effect of a recommendation? You know, I recommended my patient to be, off his or her feet or whatever, or home ridden or bedridden for 3 days or 4 days. Does it have to say something like that, or does it just have to state some sort of illness? And it's up to whose discretion as to whether or not is there? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, with a lot of these kinds of laws, especially as they're just being rolled out, a lot of these things are really ambiguous.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, the paid sick leave law talks about, permitted use. So, there are certain circumstances where the doctor's note would be fine. But in terms of what the permitted uses are, it looks like, in fact, they're still coming up with the rules. And you see that a lot. I mean, the Affordable Care Act is exactly the same thing. It took more than a year, and, they're still coming up with what exactly the rules are, which can make it really tough to deal with.
Isaac, let me ask you this. If you have somebody who just started working for you yesterday, on Monday, is there a certain amount of days that the person has to work before they can claim a sick day? Or can they come in this Friday and say, or call in this Friday after working just 4 days and say, listen, I'm sick, I can't come in?
It's 100. So here in New York City, it's 120 days.
It's 120
days. You
days.
start accruing your sick leave the day you start working, but you can't start using it until 120 days.
And is it 120 working days or business days, or is it 120 calendar days?
I believe that's calendar days. So essentially, you're looking at 4 months from when you start before you can start using that leave.
Okay, so if I'm trying to think of so if you're you've got the religious holidays now. I've heard this from time to time, Isaac. It's like, say, for example, in October. Are you Jewish by any chance?
I am, but I don't observe too much.
But that's all right. But you probably know enough to answer this question. You know that stretch in the fall where it seems like every other day there's a Jewish holiday?
I do. That's when you don't have to move your car to the other side of the street.
Right. Now, I know some people, and I guess it happens with the other religions too. Maybe for Easter you got Holy Thursday, Good Friday, but some people they'll use a sick day, and that'll be their Yom Kippur day or whatever. It'll be their they're really taking it off for a religious observance, but they're going to use up a sick day. Is there any legality there? Is that illegal, or is that unethical or improper?
Well, I couldn't answer in terms of the legality, but what I would say is that the new program the sick leave program has been rolled out by the city council here in New York as a way of letting employees either take like sick time for themselves, for their families, bereavement, to take care of people. And so I think as an employer, you'd sort of hope that you have a relationship with your employees where, you are honest with each other about the time you're taking, and that you would use the paid sick leave for sick time. That being said, of course, people do what they like.
See, Isaac, I think some people, and you're the CEO of Justworks, right? So do you own your own business?
I own my own business.
Okay. See, a lot of people, they think it's, how can you be so heartless type thing? Let's say somebody passes away, God forbid, somebody passes away. But believe it or not, if you have 50 employees or 20 employees, and it starts adding up, people get sick, all right, fine, and people, relatives pass away, that's fine. But then there's snowstorms. How about that? There's a lot of snow days. In the private sector, it's one thing if it's running a school, or even in the public sector, but sometimes you have 2 or 3 days where you cannot get to the office because of snow. So who the hell pays for that? So the point I'm getting at, because I don't want to be painted as heartless and cruel, because often they try to do that to conservatives. you got to think of it from the other side. I mean, if you're a businesswoman or a businessman and you're trying to run a business, if you had to pay people, in some firms, that could be several $100s a day that you're just out of pocket. I mean, if you have 5 employees that just can't show up because of snow, that could be $1,000, $2,000 in one day, and plus, not to mention the work that you lose. Your employees didn't perform, didn't produce anything for you to sell. So,
well, I mean, I think it's no secret that these are the kinds of things that business owners face every day, and I think there are a lot of factors and kind of real life things that come in, and the sick and the snow days and the holidays, and and people just not maybe pulling their weight on their team, or the flip side, which is, people really, pulling their weight and doing extra. But I think these are all things that business owners, struggle with. And, it's really the mission of my company is to make it much easier for business owners and take a lot of the paperwork away. But I think every business owner knows that there are a lot of these kind of things, and these are just facts of life.
Yeah. Well, Isaac, it looks like you got it in, and your business, how long have you been in business?
So we launched about 18 months ago, and we work with a whole bunch of companies, especially here in New York City, but actually a handful out in Long Island as well. And we help them out with their payroll, their benefits, and just make it all much easier. Do you have a
website?
We do. It's Justworks.com, all one word.
Okay, Justworks.com. Now, do you compete with ADP and Paychecks, or that's a whole other thing?
No, that's we offer payroll as well. So customers would choose between a service like ADP and a service like ours.
Okay.
Ours is a really nice, online kind of web-based product.
Very good, Isaac. I wish you the best of luck. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
John, thanks so much.
All right, take care. Well, there you have it. A young guy making it. That's pretty neat. Little questions that you have when you own it. Everybody. I think this is just from my perspective. I think it's so quick for people to say. It's so quick for people to say, we'll just raise the minimum wage. Let's mandate that everybody has 10 sick days. I mean, how often were you sick? How often were you sick last year, Chris? One day. But you still showed up even though you didn't feel too good, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Let me tell you something. Being an employer and being around for a long time, bosses and people who are overseeing and managers, they see that. They see somebody, and quite frankly, if somebody's really sick, like with a cold, sick, I don't want you coming into the office. Please, stay away. Anyway, I want to get to the 10-point plan of Astorinos coming up after the break here. And your phone calls, 631-451-1039. Continuing the broadcast live from Long Island's MacArthur Airport. We'll be back right after this.